See a lot of familiar faces on the call, which is great. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. So thank you so much for joining today's webinar. I'm so excited to show you guys our latest and greatest feature to CloudExtend Gmail called Autopilot. I just wanted to first do some quick intros to the hosts of our webinar today. First up, myself, my name's Justine. I'm the CloudExtend account executive here on the team. We also have Brittany Silfas. She's our awesome sales development representative. And then, of course, we have the man, the legend himself, Chris Corcoran. He's our general manager for the CloudExtend brand. He runs everything over here. So we're excited to have us all on the call today. And we actually have Joseph Yeager, who many of you have probably spoken with. He's your customer success manager. His picture is not listed here, but he's also on the call as well. So let's see, just a couple of quick housekeeping items, and then we'll jump right into the agenda. So the session is being recorded, and everyone will, of course, receive a link to the recording following the webinar. Please ask questions using the Zoom Q&A and not the chat if possible. It's just easier for us to track here. And we definitely want to encourage questions. We love getting questions. And if we can't get to every question, which we should be able to, but if we don't, we'll definitely be able to answer those after the webinar and get those answers on over to you. So let's jump right into our agenda for today. So everyone on the call is likely using CloudExtend in some form, but I wanted to provide just really a quick high-level overview so you are aware of all that it can do. We'll then introduce Autopilot to you, which I'm, as I mentioned, beyond excited about. Next, we will have a demo on how to save an email from a mobile device, and Brittany will actually be demoing that, and she'll be using her iPhone. That's a newly supported feature, so we're excited to show that as well. And then we're going to give a sneak peek into some changes to the UI that will be coming early next year. And we also want to briefly discuss some enhancements to Chrome that we think would be really beneficial for you guys to understand as current customers. We will also talk about how you can get Autopilot and some special pricing that we are offering to our existing customers. And last but not least, of course, we'll open it up to that Q&A session. So let's dive right into it. I can't wait to show you guys this and go through all this with you today. So everyone here on the call is likely using CloudExtend Gmail to attach emails to NetSuite. We all know how important it is to have all of these important conversations in NetSuite for that 360-degree visibility. In addition to saving emails, you can also have your Google and NetSuite calendars sync bidirectionally so that events are in both places, NetSuite and Google. And this is something that does happen automatically in the background, so users don't need to do anything differently. They're creating an event in NetSuite, it will sync to Google, and vice versa. The third component is Google Drive. And we give you this ability to attach Google Drive files and folders to NetSuite records without consuming storage space. So this is really a great way to supplement the NetSuite storage while at the same time keeping everything together in one place. The source of truth, which of course is NetSuite. My manager says, if it isn't NetSuite, it didn't happen. I love that motto. I think it's a really good motto to go by. That's what we go by here. So you know what, let me really quickly show you the Google Drive piece. I think this is really cool to show, and then we'll dive right into the Autopilot piece. But this will take less than a minute, and I think it'd be nice to show in case some of you are not familiar with that component. So let me just do a new screen share here, and I'm just going to pull up a customer record in NetSuite. And I'm on a customer record, but this could be any record, project maybe, or invoice. So any record, you can have this Google Drive tab. And from here, you can easily attach these files and folders. I have this Socially Savvy Studio folder attached. So if I go into that folder in Drive, and I'm actually in a subfolder of that folder, and I want to add something. So let's do that. Let's add something here. I'm just going to drag and drop this document into this PDF into this folder. That's all I need to do. Now, if I go back to that NetSuite record, and if I hit refresh, and I open this up, and if I open up that agreement, oh, sorry guys, it looks like I have a different folder in, let me see, maybe I put it in here. Sorry, I have multiple folders where I attach these in Drive, so apologies, looks like I was using a different one, but in any case, it would show up here. So it's really, really easy to manage all these files and folders. It will roll back to whatever folder it's associated with the NetSuite. So I know some of you are using that today, but just so you're aware of how that works, it's a really, really cool component there. Okay, so let me pull up my other slide really quickly, and let's dive into Autopilot. So let me just make this bigger, 1 second. So as I mentioned, this is a feature that I'm super excited to talk about today. And I know that's why many of you are here. I've been working on the CloudExtend team for 4 years. I love what CloudExtend does. I love how easy it is to use. I love selling the product because I use it myself and I know how much time it saves me and how easy it is. Customers and myself love that we allow users to decide which emails are important enough to attach to NetSuite. Not necessarily everything is important to have in NetSuite, right? You always have that one person who likes to CC you on everything, Chris. With that said, most customers have added that they wanted some higher level of automation when saving emails. The last few years, I've tracked all of these feature requests, and I really pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed some more to my manager and engineers to build this feature. I thought it was something that we absolutely needed. I actually wrote a quick blog post on how Autopilot came to be. I posted on my LinkedIn page if you're interested in taking a look. It's basically how Autopilot came to be. And my manager says it was my pushiness. I like to say my assertiveness, but that's how we got here today. So before I actually show you a live demo, I wanted to kind of just do a quick walkthrough with some slides, just so I can talk a little bit about each slide and give some tips and tricks on how this works. So first, as you can see here, it's business as usual. So you receive an email and you decide what NetSuite records you want to save it to. By the way, one tip for those of you that are not aware, anytime you save an email to a child record, if there is a parent record associated with it, think like contact a customer or invoice to customer, etc., it's going to automatically roll up to the parent level for you. So if you just save it to the child and there is a parent associated with it, it'll roll up. That's actually native NetSuite functionality, but I find that very useful because a lot of times you might be looking at that parent. But in any case, I thought I would just throw that out there since I have you guys on the call. But now what you would do is choose the record. And now you'll notice next to the Save Email button on the bottom, we have the Save with Autopilot button. So if you want that in Autopilot, you're going to click Save with Autopilot. And then we will apply this, what we call label, automatically to the email. This is really nice because now you open up your inbox, you can see what emails are on Autopilot or not. I really like that. I think that's a really nice visual indicator by just looking at your inbox. So we will automatically label it for you so that you can see that directly from your inbox. And now that's it. That is all you need to do. All of those subsequent emails that come through that thread are going to automatically be saved in NetSuite. You don't need to click anything else. It's all going to happen in the background. No intervention from you. So it's really, really that easy. It's so easy, and it just makes getting those follow-up emails into NetSuite a lot easier. I absolutely love it. And here, as you can see on the next slide, this is just showing that email was saved to NetSuite. So really, really easy. So now I just want to switch screens once more, and I'm going to go through this live. I want to show a couple of things, a couple of tips and tricks, and show this in NetSuite as well. And after this, we will go into the iPhone demo as well. So you guys should see up on my screen my Gmail here. And I'm in my inbox, and I want to save this email from Jessica. I click on this email. This is Jessica telling me that she's ready to move forward with 20 licenses of one of our other applications, CloudExtend Excel for NetSuite. This is probably something that I'm going to want to have in NetSuite, and this is likely something I'm going to want all those emails to be saved in NetSuite. You know, I'm a sales rep, and this is really, really important for my manager to see, my colleagues to see, and really anyone in NetSuite to see. So I'm going to decide where I want to save that email to. Let's just say I want to save it to the contact and the opportunity. Down here, as I mentioned, next to the Save Email button, we have the Save with Autopilot button. I click on that. As you can see, it tells you it's preparing to attach the email, and now it's going to save this email to those 2 records in NetSuite, and that's all I need to do. It takes a few seconds for the syncing to NetSuite label to pop up, but it will certainly pop up in a few seconds. Now, just really quickly, you know, you're going to really want to decide what emails you put on autopilot. We still think best practice is not to save everything. If you're talking to somebody about, you know, a birthday or something like that, you probably don't even need to have that in NetSuite at all. Or if you're talking to someone just about something one-off, that's where you can use the Save Email button and not necessarily save the entire thread. So it's really up to you. We give you that flexibility to always decide. And a couple things that are really nice. You can always cancel autopilot. If the conversation starts going somewhere and you're like, this is irrelevant to have in NetSuite, you can simply cancel it, and then none of those emails from then on out will be saved. So you'll always have that option. Now, another really cool thing that we do, and let me pull up another email to show this. I'm going to pull up this email here between Chris, my manager, Jessica, one of our clients. And if I look at this history tab here, if I click on this, this is really neat because it's actually going to show me that this email has already been saved to NetSuite with Autopilot. And you can see here that it's attached by Chris. So now I know this is already in NetSuite. It's attached to the invoice. I can see that here. And now I know that I don't need to go and save this because it's already been saved by Chris. So that's really nice because if it's already being saved by Chris, there's nothing I need to do. It's already in there. There's no need for me to duplicate that. It's already there for everyone to see. So that's a really, really nice feature there that you can see between everyone in your organization if the email's been saved or not, which is really cool. Now, before I hop over to NetSuite, one last thing I want to mention, and that is that if you are composing an email and you want to then save this email to NetSuite, many of you are familiar with these two buttons on the bottom. This is the standard Gmail send button. This is the Celigo, what we call Celigo send and save button. So you're going to work just like you're used to, and you're going to type your email out. You're going to use the Celigo send and save button. It will send your email. It will populate the results on the right that it finds. And then this is where you can decide what record you want to save the email to and how, in fact, you want to save it, whether you just want to save that one email or if you want to save the email with Autopilot. So keep that in mind. That's all business as usual. You just then get to decide if you want to save it with Autopilot. So I'm going to hop over to NetSuite, and I'm going to go to the contact record. And for many of you on the call, you may know about this, but if you don't, it's really cool. These little NetSuite buttons here, if I click on this one next to the contact, it's actually going to pull up the contact in NetSuite for me really quickly, so I actually don't need to go there and search for it, which I really like. So now in NetSuite, we save the emails to two places. Communication tab, as you may be aware, saves everything sent out through NetSuite, and now everything's saved via CloudExtend as well. So everything's going to show here. Now, the Gmail tab is also another place where we save the emails. The only thing that's going to save here is the any emails that you save with Save Email button or the first email on Autopilot. If you want to see all those back and forth, you're going to actually want to go to the Communication tab because that's where all the Autopilot emails will save. So just keep that in mind there. So that is really how Autopilot works. It's really, really that simple. I really think it's the best of both worlds. You still have the flexibility on deciding what emails are saved, where they're saved to, but now you can get all those subsequent emails in that much faster and you don't have to save them individually. So that's what I wanted to cover on Autopilot today. I'm also really excited for this next portion of the webinar where my colleague Brittany is going to show you how to actually save emails from an iPhone. We just started recently supporting this on iPhones. We've always supported on Android. And now with a lot of people being home, it's really, really nice to have this functionality and be able to do this from a mobile device. Now, before I hand it over to Brittany to go through this, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the differences in versions between mobile and the desktop version, which you just saw, the Chrome extension. So since the mobile version is what we call like a light version of our Chrome extension, there's some limitations I wanted to make you aware of. One, it doesn't support all the NetSuite record types. So there is a limit there on the types of records that are supported. And two, you can't actually initiate Autopilot from mobile, but you can reply back to an email on your mobile device that's on Autopilot, and that will save in NetSuite. So I just wanted to make that clear that when you're on mobile device and you're saving an email, you'll only have that Save Email button. You can't actually initiate Autopilot, but if an email is already on Autopilot that you set on the desktop, you can reply to it and it will save to NetSuite, which I think is great. So with that said, I am going to hand it over to Brittany and we will go through this piece of the webinar.
Thanks, Justine. Hi, everyone. I'm sure you're wondering, how do you get it on your mobile device? On the desktop, you'll go to Google Marketplace and search for CloudExtend. and then click Install. Once you have the application installed on your desktop, it will automatically show in the Gmail app on your iPhone, which I will share on the screen here. Give me just a moment. All right. So if you don't already have the Gmail app, simply go to the App Store, search for Gmail, and install. Once installed, the application will appear on your home screen. Log in with your credentials. Now I'm going to show you where to find the CloudExtend add-in and how to attach an email. Once you're in the email thread, scroll all the way to the bottom. Here's where you'll find the CloudExtend icon. Click the icon and choose Attach Email. Next, you're going to want to choose the NetSuite record that you want to attach to. Make sure that you click the Cloud Upload button. If you click the record name, it will show the NetSuite record details.
Which is also very cool, by the way, that you can actually see that directly from here. And that also applies on the desktop as well.
Absolutely. And then once it's attached, the pin will show up letting you know that it's been added to the NetSuite record, as you can see here. But let's say you don't see the NetSuite record that you want to attach to. No problem. We can search for a record, and we can select the record type. For this case, I'm going to choose support case. And I'm going to type in part of the support case title. And again here, we're going to click the Cloud Upload button. And the pin will appear once it's attached. And just like that, you've easily saved your emails when you're away from the desktop.
Yeah, Brittany, I love that. Do me a favor. Can you go back to your inbox?
Sure.
I just wanted to point out that you can see those labels. So me and Brittany, we're sharing the same account here for this webinar, and you can see that a bunch of these emails are already on autopilot. So those labels will also show on mobile, which is really great, so that you can see that on mobile as well.
Thanks, Justine. I will pass it back over to you to show the attached emails in NetSuite.
Yes, awesome. So let me grab the screen here. And okay, so I just wanted to show quickly the email that Brittany just attached. So she attached it to the support case here. I'm just going to hit refresh, and there it is. You can see the email that Brittany just attached here, which is great. And I think she also attached it to the contact. So let me come over here. And it might have been a different contact, but we'll find out in a second. Yeah, sorry guys, it might be a different one. We use different contacts for just Nana for demoing purposes, but I assure you that it's on the contact too. So just like that, saving emails from mobile, really, really, really easy. So I'm going to hand it over to Chris. Chris is going to talk a little bit about our new UI and then some other changes that are coming to Chrome. And then we'll talk a little bit about pricing and open it up for QA.
Okay, great. Thanks, Justine. First, I'm sharing on my screen here two screens that probably look familiar to many of you that have used our application. So this is part of the reason that we're rebuilding our app from the ground up. CloudExtend currently relies on an open NetSuite session, and we use a long-time Chrome feature called same-site cookies. And that's why you might get this message that says, we couldn't find your NetSuite connection, et cetera. It might be because you've logged out of NetSuite, or for some reason Chrome didn't allow us to pick it up. So we ask you to go and refresh your NetSuite page. And that's kind of an ugly process. Google is enforcing this same-site cookie feature. They're going to make sure that same-site cookies don't work unless you set a flag inside of Chrome. So our short-term solution, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second, is to make sure that you go into Chrome and set these 3 same-site cookie flags. And then the long-term solution, long-term meaning early Q1 2021, we're actually rebuilding our app from the ground up right now. And I'll give you a sneak peek at the UI for that app as well. And you'll all be happy to know that you won't need to be logged into your NetSuite UI while you're working with CloudExtend. So that requirement will go away. Rather than show this here on a slide, why don't we just jump in and take a look at how you do this. So I'm just going to go into my Chrome flags. So it's Chrome / and then flags. And then just search for same site. Since I recently did that, mine is already set up here. I've already disabled mine, but normally you would see these set as default. So just search here for same site. It'll bring you in, filter it down to just these three, set each one of these to disabled, and then relaunch Chrome. And that message should mostly go away. The only time you would see that message again would be if you were truly logged out of your NetSuite session. And then in that case, just go back, refresh your NetSuite window, and log back in. So let's get a sneak peek at the new UI coming in early 2021. So this is what we're envisioning right here as the welcome screen. And you'll be able to click suggest related records. And this is just like the sender / recipient and contextual search that you see in the extension right now, except the results are all going to display on one screen. So you no longer have to do two separate actions to see sender recipient or the contextual. In addition, if you click on the top where it said search records, we're keeping that global search, which is to me really, really nice. So you could type CU:Smith to get a list of all the customers named Smith, CO:Jones to get all the contacts named Jones, or just type in someone's email address and you'll get those results. But you can also now filter that. So you can see here, this is by default global search. I can't click it here, but if I could, you would see other options like just show contacts. So that way, if you typed Jones and you had selected contacts here, it will be the same thing as typing CON:Jones. It's just a good way for people that aren't familiar with the NetSuite shortcuts to get access. And then the last piece I'll show on the new UI, this is what the select field will look like, the selection screen. So all the results will return here. You can select all if you wanted to. You'll be able to select one or more. And then as you learned today, Autopilot will be in this version as well. Just click the toggle to turn on Autopilot and then go ahead and save the email. So this UI is really, it's really refined. And we've taken a lot of lessons over all the years, a lot of feedback from all our customers. And by the way, you can reach out to us because we're happy to take additional feedback. You guys really help us build this application. So that's a sneak peek at the UI. I do want to just make one comment because Justine mentioned earlier in the beginning that she was pushy and she really did try hard to get this new application built, the new feature. And that's true. I've never seen someone more passionate about a feature in my entire life. Every single week we have a call at Thursday at 11 with the engineers. And for a few years now, she's always been, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And finally, a little over 12 months ago, we started building this. So what you're seeing is the result of 12 months of work. It may not look like it, but a lot of things had to change on the back end. We didn't want to slow down your Gmail experience. We wanted the experience inside the app to be very familiar and look the same. It proved to be a lot harder than we thought, but it's out. Here it is. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Justine, who can talk a little bit about pricing, how to get it now, et cetera. And then we're going to, there's a few questions out here too, so we'll go and answer those as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. And not only am I assertive, but I also talk really fast. And I'm sorry, I just saw someone asking me to slow down a bit. Some of you on the call know how fast I talk, so I apologize, but we will send the recording out so you can definitely go back and go through that. And we're happy to jump on demos as well, one-to-one. So just keep that in mind. So really quick on the pricing. So this, guys, this is our standard pricing, our current standard pricing for G Suite. In our current pricing model, Autopilot is part of the Enterprise Edition, which is $20 a month per user, or as an add-on feature for either $10 or $5 a month per user, depending on if you're on the Starter Edition or the Professional Edition. Now, we know that many of you on the call have been customers for a very, very, very long time. We've had our app out for, I think, 13 years, and we've had customers that long. So we understand that some of you are likely grandfathered into some older plan that we no longer offer. So with that said, we are offering special pricing really on a case-by-case basis, just because over the years, as you can imagine, pricing has changed based on new features and things like that. So we are 100% open to discussing, special pricing for our existing customers. And Chris, if you don't mind going to the next slide here. Now you're wondering, how can you get Autopilot? And the answer to that is just Brittany, our sales development rep, who did that short, awesome demo before of saving emails from an iPhone. You can reach out to her directly, and she will schedule a call with me, and we can discuss the pricing and how to get it up and running for your team. One other thing to make note of is that we will be letting all the admins know we have this webinar and that we are offering the special pricing for our existing customers. But you can feel free to introduce Brittany to your admin, and she can schedule a call with your admin or anybody else for that matter on your team who wants to see this or discuss this. Also, Chris, if you can post this article that I'm showing on the screen in the Zoom chat, I wanted to have that there in case somebody wanted to copy that, right away. And before we get our follow-up email out to you, you can send that over to any of your colleagues or admin as well. So please feel free to share that out. That basically just kind of goes over what we just went through in this webinar, but in a smaller, shorter time frame. So Chris, I think we have a bunch of questions here. So I'm going to hand it over to you, and we can go through and answer these while we have everyone on the line.
Okay, sounds great. Let's see. Okay, so I did just post that article, and we have a few chats, I think, in both the chat window and in the Q&A. So let's start with the Q&A window. Okay, so at the top is, what's the common denominator that links the email messages via Autopilot? So that would actually be what's called the message ID. So it's the Gmail message ID, something internal to the email itself. What happens if I remove the sync to NetSuite label? So there's two things that could happen. If you just remove the label from that email itself, so just click the label and hit delete, then messages will stop syncing. But if you actually remove the label entirely from Google, so if you went into your settings and then looked at labels and then deleted it, then you'll get an error message when you attempt to enable Autopilot for additional email. So definitely don't remove the label itself, but you can remove the label from a conversation. Let's see. Each time an email is attached in NetSuite, it creates a message under the Communications tab. Will Autopilot create separate messages for each response in the Gmail thread once Autopilot is enabled? So you will see a separate message under the Communication tab. So if we had two back and forth, then you'd see two additional messages sitting under that Communication tab.
And Chris, just one quick point on that. We basically do it the same way that the NetSuite emailing system does. So they do the same thing where they'll show the emails not just in one bulk email.
Got it. Okay. What happens to the messages viewable in NetSuite if you disable Autopilot on a message? So any messages that were attached will still be in NetSuite. So you could go into NetSuite, and if you have the proper permissions, you can click the remove button at the far right of a message. But any future back and forth replies to that email will stay in your Gmail. They won't be shared with others through NetSuite. Okay, this next one we may have to take offline, but I'm going to read it out loud anyway so we know. Will Autopilot work for Gmail messages related to project tasks? And I believe the reason this person's asking is that the NetSuite project task record does not expose the messages tab. So they've deployed our Gmail tab to that particular record. And since we're not putting all the communications on the Gmail tab, only ones that someone has manually initiated through our application. So that first message that someone manually attaches, whether it's through Autopilot or not, they're wondering how they can see those records. So we've got your information. We're going to have to check this out and get back to you. I suspect the answer is going to be that you won't be able to see those messages and that we might have to come up with a solution. Are special role permissions required in NetSuite if using the mobile app? No more, there's no mobile specific permissions that would be required. So just the normal permissions like access to web services, the records that the customer wants to be able to attach those messages to, etc. Okay, let's see. We turned to single sign-on for NetSuite roles, but with this feature turned on, it won't allow login to CloudExtend in Gmail. We're using JumpCloud. Okay, so I think this is unrelated to Autopilot, just someone who needs a little bit of help. So we do support, well, actually, so let me say two things. So currently, we have help articles on some of the more popular SSO applications like Okta, et cetera. But we are moving, when we come out with this new UI, we're moving to a brand new authentication system. Well, not brand new, NetSuite came out with it in Q4 2019. It's called the 3-step login flow, and that will support, as long as you've got your single sign-on set up, it doesn't matter who the provider is, if you've gone through all the hard work of setting it up and integrating it with NetSuite, this login flow will recognize that, so there won't be any extra things to do. But I will send you an article. I've got your information here. The article might get you a head start, and at the bottom is a link to our support team. You can do an online chat with them, and they can help further. I have a feeling you'll probably be able to take what you see in Okta and then translate that to JumpCloud as well. Okay, let's see. 3 more questions here, and then we'll move over to the regular chat. For Autopilot, can we update the records that the message will be attached to on an existing thread? For example, if I initiate it and attach to a contact and save the message or a few, and then I want to add a transaction to future messages, can I do this? Okay, so I think maybe the person is asking if they've saved it to a contact and then come back to the same message and later add it to some other record like an invoice, etc. So the answer to that is definitely yes, you can do that. And then the same person does have a security question about the kind of workaround that I showed you. Does it introduce any security concerns that the new Chrome settings is intended to protect users from? That's why we're building our brand new application. Now, keep in mind, it's been out there for many, many, many years. Whether there's danger or not for your organization, that's a question that you'd want to work through and investigate. But we are also, because Google's not going to support it forever, so we're moving away from that as well. Will getting Autopilot automatically give you the iOS app, or is that a separate price? The iOS app, so there's, to be clear, well, first of all, let me just say it's that functionality is free. It's not a specific app. When Brittany was showing you that, it lives on the Gmail and the iPhone, so that's a free application. Just install Gmail on your iPhone, and then once you install this particular add-on, it will show up on your Gmail as an add-on on your iPhone. So there's no charge for that. It doesn't matter which version of CloudExtend you have. Are you recommending we make changes to the same site settings in Chrome now or when you release the update? So the update won't require those settings. So I would recommend that you make those settings way ahead of the update, essentially, now. How can we determine which edition is currently installed? Free, starter, professional, enterprise, etc. So you could reach out to Joseph Yeager, or you can actually reach out, since Brittany's contact information is right here. So you've got her email address right there, and Joseph's he's your customer success manager, probably the best person to reach out to, and that's Joseph, JOSEPH.YEAGER at Celigo.com. So he'll be able to tell you which version you're actually on. And so we came out with these free starter, professional, and enterprise editions roughly, I think probably the November, December 2019 timeframe. So if you've been using the app before then you're on a version that doesn't exist anymore. So the kind of grandfathered versions that live out there. And that's where we've got all this special pricing available to you guys. Okay, so let's move on and look at the chat. Okay, so sorry everyone. So there's a few people a little late for this, but who said we were moving a little too fast, talking too fast, etc. Apologize for that. So there will be a recording, and you'll be able to play back that recording, probably not at like 90% speed or something, but you'll be able to play that back as well. And a lesson learned for us, we will try and slow things down. We tend to get a little excited when we talk about Autopilot. Okay. When will it roll out? So it is available right now. And we did go through an extensive beta period as well. So the beta is over. Okay. There's 5 or 6 more here. Let me just make sure I see all these. Yes, you will get a recording afterward. That will happen somewhere between 24 and 48 hours from now. Is a new interface included in existing subscriptions or only those who sign up for Autopilot? So the new UI that I showed you will be available for everyone. Okay, so one more question, at least here, and then we'll go back and check the QA window again. If you reply to an email through the Gmail tab in NetSuite, those conversations are currently saved automatically, correct? This new feature would allow you to replicate that when you're using your Gmail to reply. So when you reply to an email through the Gmail tab in NetSuite, yeah, so you would still have, so those are not, so that conversation itself is saved automatically. Actually, you know what? I have to think about that. Justine, maybe, do you know? So they're basically saying if you're looking at the Gmail tab and then you open that email and then reply to it, that conversation's not saved automatically. You still would have to manually, at least without Autopilot, you would have to manually go and attach that, because all we're doing in that case is opening up Gmail for the user.
I think it depends, because if you click on an email and you click reply, that's going to now be in that's NetSuite's emailing system, correct? That has nothing to do with Gmail. So that's what I think of when I hear that question. So we might have to clarify.
You know what? They're asking if you reply to an email through the Gmail tab in NetSuite.
Right.
So they mean through our tab.
Right, but on the Gmail tab, you can open up a message, see the message and reply, or you can hit compose. Right.
So they're actually replying to the message, and if they view it, I'm pretty sure when it views. Well, you know what? We'll have to. I'll tell you what, Melissa. We're actually going to get back to you on that. We'll test. We'll make a short video, and then we'll address that question as well. Let's see. When will the new interface be available? Same question for Autopilot. Okay. And I think you mentioned Autopilot was in beta. So we did go through an extensive beta period. Autopilot is out of beta. So that happened on August 1st. The new interface will be available early 2021. We hope sooner, but early 2021. And Autopilot is available right now. So let's go back to the Q&A and see if we have any more right there. We don't. So I think that we're good 40 minutes in.
Awesome. And I think we did have, we had one person raise their hand, but I think they took it down. So maybe they had their question answered. Okay, awesome. Well, I just want to close by saying sorry for talking so fast. I do get really excited about this Autopilot feature. It's really something that I've been pushing for, and I just think it's awesome. You know, like I said, as someone who uses this every day, it saves me so much time, and it just makes all the sense in the world. I still decide what's important enough to get into NetSuite, but just getting those follow-ups in a lot easier. So please reach out to Brittany if you have any questions, if you want to set up a one-on-one demo with your team. We're really excited to show this. So anything you guys need from us, let us know. Thanks for being such great customers. Like I said, a lot of you guys on the call, I recognize your names. I'm so excited to show this to you today and give you this first real peek at it. Like Chris said, this just came out August 1st. So we're really, really excited. And just reach out if you want to upgrade and get this into your account.